All right, war friends and followers, everybody else out there on the internet who is coming across this, welcome to another edition of. Uh, well, it's not another edition of anything. It's a unique show. I'm calling this. I just labeled this a super show because I'm sort of combining two shows together, and more of a. If you follow me on Mondays, I've been doing the Monday night memes, but I haven't done it so far this year. So it's been a while since I've actually been on screen. I've been laying in the cut, producing a couple things, and doing some other stuff. But yeah, just had to get on today. Pretty good day, newsy day to get on with some OGs here, War OGs, Demond Spruiel and Joe Tanksley with me in this first hour or so, maybe more like 40 minutes probably, but 40, 45 minutes. But after the 8 o'clock hour, I'm going to switch over with some of my guys from Running with War show. We get into some basketball stuff that we haven't done Running with War yet in 22 as well. So sort of getting back to the flow of things finally after – I don't know. Just like I say, I've been doing stuff. I just haven't been getting on screen, you know.
You're a busy guy.
I haven't even been celebrating my what?
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I guess I'm busy. I mean, I'm I would blame it on my birthday, but I ain't do much of anything for my birthday. I didn't do as much as Demond's did.
But well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you. Yeah, we both can say that, man. It's not Capricorn season anymore, but it's still January, right? At least.
Still January. Still me and Cuzzo's birthday month.
Yeah, but yeah, we said we still doing it, still here, and like I said, today a good newsy day. The Bears hiring a GM, and that's what we're gonna kick off with our little discussion here. Of course, Joe's been doing helping out with our football coverage, so I had to get his opinion on things, and D always has an opinion, never has an opinion on the Bears. And
nothing.
I don't know. Let's just start it off, gentlemen. I mean, we have a brother charge of some capacity in Lake Forest at Hallis Hall. The white holy turning black, apparently. And I got to shout out J.R. Bang, man. He had the tweet of the day saying that we got a black quarterback and a black GM. If we get a black coach, you got to take McCaskey down to the 50-yard line or something, man.
Oh yeah. So we going to the 50. I saw that. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, we like I said, man, we start turning to Chocolate City up there in Hallis Hall, man. But this is a young guy, 36 years old. He's younger than all of us.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
it'll make you feel old right now.
Yeah, man. Been in football for a while. He actually was a undrafted free agent for the Bears in 2008. That picture is circulated a lot today, and a full circle thing for him. That's I tweeted it was an inspirational thing. To go from an undrafted free agent to not running it in the league like you want, and we wind up becoming going better in the Kansas City organization, part of a lot of winning out there, and you're drawn into to be apparently a hot candidate here in this past month. Minnesota was after him. It looked like the Giants were interested in him, and of course the Bears were, and the Bears wind up snatching them up. George get the ride from O'Hare on them, man. Make sure that they close the deal today.
The Honda Accord? Was it the Honda Accord?
Y'all picking me up in this?
I mean, I really hope George McCaskey is not driving around in the Honda Accord. At least get a Lincoln or something. You know what I mean?
At least get a Lincoln.
Right.
Where's the Mercury at?
Yeah, if you can't use it for Uber Black, man,
right.
That never work.
You got to do a little bit better than that. I heard some crazy story that he drives around in a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry or something like that. But
like anybody's gonna know McCaskey like walking down the street. Nobody is gonna know him unless even if he have a shirt on saying like I'm the son of the owner of the Chicago Bears. Nobody knows who you are.
He was wearing that jacket through the airport. He got the Bears Letterman jacket. He got the Bears.
How many middle-aged white men do you see walking around with Letterman jackets on? But they favorite team. It happens all the time. I wouldn't know who you are. Yeah, I'm a part owner for the Bears. Yeah, I'm a part of the Bears. Okay. All right.
Right. Well, here's the thing with Ryan Poles. You mentioned that he was an undrafted free agent and with the Chicago Bears back in 2008. Didn't make the team ultimately, but ultimately he ended up, as a scouting intern and then working his way up the ladder. That shows you one thing: he's committed to the sport of football. How many guys do we see? They don't make the team and they go off to something else and do something else. But he stuck it out and he wanted to be around the game of football. And look at where he is now. Like you said, Kyle, this is an inspirational story. Somebody who loves the game and wanted to be a part of the game and be around the game. And the team that he didn't make back in 2008, he's now in charge of. It's real interesting because in the beginning of this process, you really didn't hear a lot about Ryan Poles. We heard about some other names being bandied about. Joe Shane was one of them. Rick Smith was one. Morocco Brown. Some other people. They were really, they were kind of, taking the forefront. And here in the 11th hour, 12th hour, or whatever you want to say, the 23rd hour, Ryan Poles emerges and he's the one with the job.
The little cameo for Baby Girl.
I would say, looking at Poles, number one, like you said, he's a lot younger than us. It's something when you start to see people running organizations and younger than you. Kind of like, damn, I'm getting old. But it's a good thing, man. It's a good thing to see a guy who was, like you said, once undrafted guy walk up to get onto the team, but didn't make the team, but was undrafted, but now is coming back and be able to run an organization. That's good to see. Also, too, man, it's coming from a winning organization. I mean, the picture that I posted, I think a lot of people did, him kissing the Lombardi Trophy. Man, that's something you want to see, and he went to the Super Bowl twice. You know what I'm saying? They won one, they lost one.
And more than that, he's been there 13 years. They've won 6 straight division titles when he's been there. That's the type of longevity that Bears fans dream about.
Exactly.
And he was the head of college scouting the year that they got Mahomes, and that's the guy. Yeah. That's the guy who changed everything for their franchise. In part because the Bears didn't do their due diligence and get him in that same draft.
But even looking at the teams before Mahomes got there, they was contenders. I think it was Alex Smith. Was Alex Smith?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, Alex Smith and Alex Smith took him to the playoffs that first year from Mahomes.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's coming from a winning organization, and this is the only organization he's ever worked for. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost sort of like being a number one draft pick. You know what I'm saying? You killing it at the top college, and then it's like, man, I got to go with the Bears, so I got to go. I'm a number one pick. God damn, what happened? But you know what I'm saying? But it's a great opportunity too because he's so young, and if he is successful, man, this is a guy that we can see literally grow in front of our eyes. And hopefully be in Hallis Hall for a very young time. I mean, for a very long time. But the biggest thing I will say, and I know Joe kind of alluded to this before we went live, is the fact that he basically said, like, yo, I'm calling the shots. Right. I'm hiring the coach. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the opportunity. Shout out to you, Sweaty Teddy. Shout out to you, George. But I'm running the show. So hopefully that's all true, and he's able to pick the coach and the coaching staff. Well, the coach with the coaching staff, but at least be able to pick a good head coach that he vibes with, and he hires, And that goes a long way. That's something that Ryan Pace didn't have the ability to do because they basically said you have to, hire John Fox. Well, John Fox is going to be here. I'm not saying Ryan Pace would have picked the right guy anyway because he didn't really do.
But you don't want to start that way.
But you don't want to start
right.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, people was already looking at some comparisons between, Poles and Pace. Starting with the first name, but
and same organization. Oh no, he was in New Orleans.
But I think two key things with Poles is, like we said, he's apparently he's enforcing the fact that he's going to pick the coach, and he's not going to be saddled with a coach coming in like you say, like Pace was. And two, I think that like you said, he was like Pace at the same organization, at just one organization. He only has that experience with one organization. But in Kansas City, you had some of the brightest minds in the National Football League that he worked under, including Scott Pioli, who helped build the Patriots dynasty, and did more of the same in Kansas City. And so I think this guy may be a little bit more versatile and there may be more depth to him in his thinking than we got with Pace.
I hope so.
I mean, yeah, definitely. We hope so. I think it's going to be interesting to see if the coaching list candidates expand. The list of candidates expand. If he'll want to interview a few more people. I know that he's scheduled to interview. I won't say I know, but it's been reported by the Bears blog that he's going to be interviewing the three finalists that they've had already by the end of tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if that list will expand, if he'll want to talk to a few more guys.
Let's go over those finalists as the parent finalists at the moment. You got Jim Caldwell, you got Dan Quinn, and you got I keep forgetting how to say the dude's name, but the DC Eberflus from the defensive coordinator from Indianapolis. So those are the three names that are headlining this whole thing at the moment. But like Joe said, there may be a possibility that Poles wants to bring in another person or two to interview. We don't know that yet. We'll see. That's going to be more. That's the next development.
I hope it is. I hope it does. Because if it expands, then I know that he's actually throwing his weight around in House Hall. I hope it's not just kind of like, okay, he's three guys, you have to pick for him. I hope it expands, even if it's one or two other guys, whoever it could be. Man, throw out some Hail Marys. Hey, I know Sean Payton. You want to go to Amazon or Fox to do some sports, be a talking head. I just want to have a conversation with you. Hey, Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, I just want to have a conversation with you.
What'd be important about that D with Payton? Payton reportedly, doesn't like, and this is I'm getting this from out the mouth of our guys over here at NBC Sports Chicago. Apparently, Coach. Payton has been reported saying that he doesn't like the way that the Bears have been run, so he may not want to work there. But if you get this young guy in there, respected guy, a new guy, maybe he can show Payton that things are changing. At least they could change under him. And
we got a brother running it now, Sean. We in here now, Sean. You know what it is. You in New Orleans. You know what the brothers do. We come on up here to Chicago. Come back home.
Yeah,
you can say that.
The only thing about Sean Payton that I would have some apprehension to is that with acquiring him, would that require draft compensation to New Orleans?
It would.
Yes,
the Bears are short on draft. The Bears are short on draft capital. They're short on draft capital, and for Sean Payton, for as good as a coach he is, he can't go out there. He can't go out there and block nobody. He can't go out there and tackle nobody. He can't go out there and catch a ball. So, I mean, you gotta kind of weigh that as well. If there wasn't any draft compensation, if the Bears, weren't, in this position where they didn't have any picks that they could afford to give up, I'd be all for it. It's Sean Payton. But the fact that the one thing, the one of the major tools that you need to build a team and the most economical way, they don't have a lot of it.
Yeah. Sure.
No, totally agree.
That and do you mentioned Harbaugh too? Like, I think a lot of what we've been hearing rumorized with Harbaugh is that he may be more inclined to go to Vegas, and Vegas would definitely be more inclined to give him the money that he probably would want.
I don't blame him, brother.
Yeah,
I don't blame him.
I mean, but that doesn't stop you from making that, like you say, that Hail Mary throw.
Hey, listen, just make a call. Just talk to him. Like, hey, man, listen. It's like talking to a fine girl. Hey, listen, I know I'm not your lead. I know you got a guy already. I just want to say hi. Let you know I'm here. Let you feel my presence.
Right.
Well, I got the t-shirt on. And this is very random. I just happen to have on a Bears t-shirt today. But this is very random. But, so just let them know, hey, I'm here for you. If anything happens, you know where I'm at. Just talk to him.
Give it that Joe game.
Yeah, man.
I think you need to show to the crowd. I got it.
Well, the interesting when you talk about Hail Marys, D, when we talk about coaching candidates, it's interesting to see who Ryan Poles has ties to. Dan Quinn is a name that he's been mentioned being real close to. Brian Flores, they were teammates in Boston College. And
he has ties with Eberflus too. Apparently, he has a relationship with him.
Does he? Oh, I didn't hear that.
So I mean, it'd be interesting how that influences this process as well. Also, you got Eric Bieniemy,
KC,
out of KC as well. So I mean, it's people out there that he has ties to and has close relationships with that might be added to this mix again. So that'd be interesting to see. I also heard that he's really close with Matt Ryan, the quarterback at
Atlanta.
The Falcons. Apparently, they're like best friends. So
what would that be? I mean,
Boston College. That's true.
Yeah, Boston College.
I mean, I don't know what it mean. What it would mean, but
it'll be Red Rifle Part 2.
Well, at least it shows that he has relationships throughout the league. I mean, listen, it's a very small world anyway. But as long as you have those relationships, and it seems as if everybody likes the guy.
But do you know what that sounds like? That sounds like AK and Eversley. Those guys, they were people that people like to know in the NBA. They weren't these little trolls like Garpax was just off to the side. Everybody,
get up under the bridge. Go back under that bridge, Gar.
People only dealt with them when they wanted. People only dealt with them when they had to. It's like people liked AK and Eversley.
Yeah. And you look at what AK.
It seems like people like polls, So
exactly. And you see what AK and me been able to do. What the Bulls have. And in the NBA, it's very. It take a while to kind of turn an organization around. They like literally did it within like a season. That's amazing. And with football, you could literally go the Bengals route. They was the laughingstock 2 seasons ago in Bulls in the AFC Championship. So it's very doable here in Chicago. It just depends on who you hire. Now, I know a lot of people been saying like, okay, Dan Quinn is a guy. He was, he had the infamous meltdown with the Atlanta Falcons against the Tom Brady and New England Patriots. But don't sleep on Jim Caldwell. If I'm not mistaken, he did take the Colts to the Super Bowl, right?
No. That was Dungy. Dungy coached the Colts in the Super Bowl. Caldwell was an assistant. And
he was the assistant?
He was the assistant then.
Okay, all right. That's what I'm thinking about.
But he had a winning record with the Lions, and that may be almost
Lions. That's what it was. Okay,
I know that may be almost some kind of way.
Well, here's the thing about Caldwell. He was the OC, the offensive coordinator for 2 Super Bowl champions. That's the Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. And it's even more impressive. It's even more impressive with the Ravens because it was with Joe Flacco.
Right.
Bazooka Joe.
I mean, Caldwell. The only thing I don't like with Caldwell is the age. I mean, if he was 10 years younger, I'd be all over Caldwell.
Ages.
I'm sorry,
what's going
man.
on?
67, man.
He is 67 years old. Yeah,
that's old, true. Man. To start a new gig.
But you look at football coaches, because they coach forever. Guys who coach, they coach forever. But my apologies. I didn't think he took him to the Super Bowl. I know he was on 2 Super Bowl teams, or at least I know he was a part of organizations. But what I'm trying to say is, don't sleep on Jim Caldwell. He has a lot to offer too. Dan Quinn is a little bit younger. He was a head coach of the Falcons, but Jim Caldwell got a lot to offer too.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit in our text chain. And Ken, I got Ken Davis is big on Quinn too. Of the candidates that are available, we haven't talked about other candidates that he may like, but of the apparent candidates that are available, he likes Quinn. And we talked about like a dream scenario would probably be Quinn as head coach and mastermind of the defense with Caldwell as your OC. And I don't know if he'd be willing to take that job at this point of his career, Caldwell. I'm saying,
but what?
That would be a dream. That would be a dream scenario for me, because you have 2 guys with experience who've taken teams to Super Bowls, and you would have both sides of the team, pretty much handled with a mature coach.
I don't think that's that far-fetched though, because as you just said, he's 67 years old. Do you think someone is going to come in and swoop up Jim Caldwell? Let's say he's here for
I don't know how much more flirtations is he getting outside of the bed. I don't know
that, and also too, how many people are going to come in and sweep up like, man, we got to have Jim Caldwell as our head coach, and he's 70 years old. And hopefully we all get to 70 years old. People still think that we are, got something to offer. But
as long as I can talk when I'm 70, baby.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I might be trying to go into the new 50. I don't know. So, but all thing I'm trying to say is how many teams are going to come in and kind of swoop them up? I don't think that dream is that unrealistic.
Sure.
I mean, he was there today. Jim Caldwell was there today. If you want Dan Quinn to be the head coach and take care of the defense, you have Jim Caldwell to be the offensive coordinator. I don't think that's too far-fetched. I didn't think of that scenario, but I like that scenario.
What about Joe? What do you think of the 3 guys who we're talking about primarily now? Eberflus, Quinn, and Caldwell. Which one, if any, would you be down with having as the coach?
I would say Dan Quinn, because he's definitely a guy who has done it before. He's not as old as Jim Caldwell.
We're just burying Jim Caldwell tonight.
Go ahead and shake
but of the 2 candidates, Dan Quinn is the one. I think when you look at how the Bears roster is built right now, that defense is only a couple players away from being a top 5 defense again. And they still have some talent. You still got Robert Quinn. You still got Khalil Mack. And so you got Jalen Johnson on the back end as well, who's emerging as a premier corner. He's not quite there yet, but he's emerging. He showed a lot of promise. So you got Roquan Smith. All pro. So you got pieces on the defense that you can kind of work with and add a few little pieces, and you could be back in the top 5 defensively. It was because of that defense that the Bears were able to beat the Bengals this year. And win some games that they probably shouldn't have won because of that defense and because of that pass rush. So, I like Dan Quinn.
So are you more inclined to have a defensive guy leading the team now? Because that's what
honestly
we've had offensive guys the last couple.
Honestly, no, I'm not. But if I'm picking between those 3 candidates, Dan Quinn is the guy. And the reason, I tend to lean away from a defensive guy is because you need that continuity with the system and the language. And the issue with Dan Quinn, and I think that's what you kind of were talking about, D, is that if you bring in a hot shot young coordinator and he has success with Justin Fields, well, somebody else is going to want to swoop in and get some of that magic too. You know, these offense, you know, somebody's always willing to hire an offensive coordinator who's had success real quick right away. You know, would that be an issue with Jim Caldwell? I don't know. I mean, but here's the thing. Obviously, he wants to be a head coach again, though. You know what I'm saying? Because he's interviewing with the Bears for a head coaching job. I don't know if he's been a candidate anywhere else, though. So
I haven't heard.
I haven't heard it.
So I mean, you know, that could be, you know, some of the thing. And honestly, you know, when you talk about the dynamic between having Quinn and Jim Caldwell, it was kind of the same thing when Nagy had Vic Fangio in the first year. You know what I'm saying? And then you saw the success that Vic Fangio had with the defense. And then what happens? He's the coach for the Denver Broncos at 70-something years. I don't know if he was that old, but I'm just exaggerating. But
he was old as hell too.
But he was old. So I'm just saying there's been precedent for this happening, you know, the other way around.
Yeah. And unfortunately, and Denver's enough now. They're one of the teams that's looking too, because that didn't work with.
It didn't work. Vic Fangio is 63.
Yeah. Okay,
63. Yeah, that's not. Yeah. So a few years ago, he was like around. We had to been what 60 when they hired him, I guess. So,
yeah. How long was he in Denver? Was he in Denver for 3 years?
I guess so, because that was 19. That was right after that 18 season.
Right.
Yeah, so there's definitely things you gotta think about, and that's like I say, that's the thing. Like even with Caldwell is successful, like he may lose steam in like 3 years, you know, because of his age, you know.
I mean, that's when you kind of have somebody in the wings. I mean, this is when you're gonna see the hiring in the mind of Ryan Poles. Am I going to have guys that be able to succeed? Damn near kind of like how Holmgren had up in Green Bay. We had all those guys working up under him. I think even when he was the assistants and stuff like that. This is when you start to see, you know what I'm saying, the tree, you know what I'm saying.
You know who had that too is Quinn. Quinn had
that too.
Shanahan under him, not McVay, what's the cut? He's had a couple coaches under. He had a great staff in Atlanta for a while.
He did. He did.
And that's the thing. I mean, when you talk about Dan Quinn being the best of that bunch, you know that he can build a staff. You know, and you feel confident that he can pick the right people to do the job. You know, and that offense in Atlanta had a lot of success with Dan Quinn as the coach. So
listen,
I mean,
he should have a ring. Now, you know, I was watching somebody, I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Coach Juan said with Ken Davis, like guy, he had an emergency podcast for the hiring of Ryan Poles today. I think it was Dave Juan said that if it was Juan said that man, he could have a ring on his finger if he had the experience back then to call up to whoever was the OC at the time. I think it was who's the coach right now? Shanahan. Like, yo, stop them throws, run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to fail to succeed. So now he has that experience. So, you know what I'm saying? Like you say, he's able to build a good coaching staff around him. And now, if he's ever in those kind of scenarios, he can always go back to, obviously, that one of the biggest failures, you could say, like sports, you know, saying leading by like 20-something points and losing the Super Bowl. At least he's able to kind of go back to that.
Well, wasn't Dan Quinn on that staff when in Seattle when they should have ran the ball and they threw it and it got picked off? Was he the defensive coordinator then?
I can look that up. I don't know if he was a defensive coordinator on that team. Well,
Darrell Bevel was the offensive. Darrell Bevel was the offensive coordinator. I think Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator, and I think that's when after that he got hired as the head coach for Atlanta. So I think
he was Seattle's coordinator from 13 to 14.
Okay.
So that I think that's that. I think they went in 2015 and lost in the Super Bowl, right? I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, I just want to make sure. No, because the defensive coordinator was Chris Richards in 2015. I have to look at have to go back and look and see. But I mean, listen, even with Dan Quinn that was right down there in Dallas, Mike McCarthy, I don't know what the hell is wrong with that guy. But because he's going to be out of a job real quick. Honestly, I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't just tell Dan Quinn to just move on up, move one seat over if you want.
Yeah. Because
Mike McCarthy, man, that dude, my goodness.
Unless he holding out for Payton, maybe.
I mean, I guess so. I'm listen. If Sean Payton got that, gig, I believe Amazon might be trying to go after him because Amazon is trying to build out an NFL broadcast team.
Either that or Fox.
Well, Fox,
because Amazon may pick up.
Amazon is going to space. He going to space right now. What the hell, Jerry Jones got to offer me?
Yeah.
This man is going to space right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting that space money.
I'm on the next rocket. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm surprised he didn't move on up.
Yeah, see, Amazon may be in play for what's
Sean Payton?
Now, Sean Payton or
Troy Aikman? Troy Aikman?
Troy Aikman,
yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff going out there in media and
it is
football,
It is.
But
you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be mad at Dan Quinn either. No, I would say I wouldn't be mad at Dan Quinn either. It's better than what we had the past.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it stands
trash ass.
we can't help but upgrade at the moment. And
hey man, listen, I want to let everybody know right here on this Super Show, this WARR Media Super Show at WARR Media.
Definitely.
I want to let y'all know years ago on 670 The Score.
He always gonna be this is his claim to fame.
I'm gonna be saying this, cuzzo. I'm gonna be saying this when we're 80 years old, sitting in somebody's backyard talking to our great grandkids. I was on the radio in Chicago, and I said 2 years into Matt Nagy, you need to get rid of that guy. Oh no, D. Oh no, you gotta give some time. They went 8-8. They went to the Super Bowl. They did. Dude's trash. And now we probably gotta wait another year to see what happens because we have to deal with that. I'm gonna stop.
See, he called the shot like Babe Ruth on that one.
You damn right I did. And I told Ken he should have said my name when he called me out on the podcast. I'm saying that too. You should have said my co-host Demond Spruiel said you was trash in 6-7 Score. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, D is a when he's a contrarian, he gets it right. Skip Bayless ain't got nothing on you.
Ain't got nothing on me.
Yeah, but yeah, let's like I said, that's pretty much it with the Bears for the moment, man. Yeah. But since I got y'all here, let's look at the teams that are winning right quick, and
yes,
coming out of that great weekend, that divisional weekend. What are y'all thoughts on these games coming up? These NFC and AFC championship games. You got Cincinnati going to KC, and the Rams hosting. They may be able to host 2 games in a row. They are hosting the 49ers in the NFC championship game before the Super Bowl happens at SoFi. So
you know what? It'd be interesting. That's an interesting matchup: San Francisco and the Rams, the division rivals. I think San Francisco beat them both times in the regular season. Both times they played.
They beat them like 6 times in a row.
Right.
Really? So it's been that long?
Yeah.
So wow. It'd be interesting to see if this team can get over the boogeyman. That's the same boogeyman that the Green Bay Packers had in the playoffs. The San Francisco 49ers. And so, for how, good that the Rams looked at the beginning of that game against Tampa Bay, there was a lot to be concerned about in the second half of the game and almost giving it up. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. San Francisco 49ers went up to the frozen tundra, and after Packers and stole one from them. They stole one from him, and listen. Sometimes
the greatest Bears fan quote came from Garoppolo.
Right, exactly.
Sure did.
And then you had George Kittle in the press conference.
George Kittle too, yeah.
Yeah.
Bears.
Right. So
yeah,
that made me feel good as a Bears fan.
That's a question right there, man. If you're a Bears fan, can we root for anyone but the 49ers going forward?
You know what?
They gave us
that's kind of where I'm leaning to. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. You know what? They did us a solid. You know what I'm saying? They did us a solid and took care of Green Bay for us.
Although they apparently they did America a solid there because
right. Listen, everybody in America, the United States of America, was a Chicago fan that day. The way they drug Aaron Rodgers on social media.
I know I had a hand in.
D, what's your favorite Rodgers nickname?
Ooh, my favorite Rodgers nickname? I know I had one, but I hope it's retired. That's another thing I predicted too. I said
Candace Throwins.
Throw Rogan. Throw Rogan is pretty good.
I think I like Throw Rogan.
Throw Rogan is really good. It's really good. The researcher, because you're gonna have a lot of time to do research on your hands now.
Yeah.
I'll be a bum.
Well, look like some Russian is trying to hack us. We talking about we talking.
We got chat here.
Listen, I don't know what that means. Whatever.
I
don't know what that means. But Nipa, Medebek, whatever. But
I don't see that. I don't see it.
But it is because.
Oh Lord!
Get
out of here, you butt.
We got the wrong subject out of there, man.
Well, listen. It might. We don't know what they're saying. It could be a compliment. It could be a nice.
It could be Go Bears. It could be Go Bears.
It could be Go Bears. It could be Go Bears. You know what I'm saying? Just because we don't know what it
translate
means,
Russian for us, please help us out with that.
Yeah, just because we don't know what it means, you know what I mean, doesn't mean it was something nasty.
I didn't take that electorate at SIU.
You know what? I think these games coming up, man. Number one, these games gonna have a lot to live up to because last week, the best football I think I've seen in years. Every game was great.
I don't remember the divisional rounds are usually dope, but I don't remember one where all 4 games were so.
It's probably something we forgetting.
Thrilling.
Yeah, it was great.
So thrilling.
They were great.
How do y'all feel about the overtime rule? Like I was fine with it.
I'm
fine with it too.
I'm more against it than y'all, man. I just don't like. It's not. I understand where people are coming from all angles. I just think that if you're talking about a win or go home game, I don't see the reason why you can't just in any other sport. You get this. You put up a certain amount of time in the overtime. Let that time pass, then you have a sudden death. And you can't have a sudden death if you score one way and it continues the game and it score another way and it ends the game. So people trying to say it's sudden death now. It's not sudden death. If it was sudden death, then the field goal would end the game. So I just
and they changed that though, didn't they? Didn't they go from a field goal to a touchdown because the field goal keep the game going, right?
Yeah,
they did update that.
Yeah, so I mean that's the reason why too. I'm like everybody is so by the book now with the NFL. It's like, okay, so y'all were so quick to end these games.
Here's the thing.
You're not really. It's not really deciding the game to me. It's more of an issue of chance and probability than it is of true competition when it comes to the way that it is now.
Well, here's the thing. Here's where I would see it. I would say that you if they were to change it, and here's what I mean. I'm not fine. I'm fine with the way the game ended up, and I'm not one of these people that feels like they need to absolutely change the overtime rule. But like you said, Kyle, I do think it would be beneficial, especially in the playoffs, if you play another quarter, and at the end of the quarter, if the game is still tied, you go to sudden death. Any point wins.
You let them compete more in the regular season games, and that leads to these god awful ties that we have, where people are always are so nobody wants a tie in any in the NFL.
Yeah.
But
It's like-
those
it's like
happen
kissing your
because we
sister.
allowed them to
Like,
play out those extra periods. You should have the overtime rules in the playoffs be for the regular season, and have and vice versa.
I would say this. I'm not mad at the rule. If they was to change it, okay, whatever. But I still say, listen, you got to be able to stop. The defense got to be able to do their job.
Definitely. And look, and
Defense gotta be able to do their job.
Even worse than the overtime is what they did in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Buffalo played itself out, but that was partly because they was worn the hell out trying to guard that Kansas City team for 60 minutes. You can't expect them to play the same way at 3:30, at 6:30 that they did at 3:30.
I would say this though. I truly believe this. I think if Buffalo would have won the toss, they would have won that game.
Likely, yeah, that's likely.
It's the same thing. And they knew it too.
Whoever had the ball was going to win.
And each team knew it because it's like, damn, because as soon as KC won the flip, I forgot who was out there for him representing for the coin flip. I mean, he jumping up and down. It's like, of course we're gonna receive. They knew. It was just going on too much. But they scored like 25 points in 2 minutes. My God. You know, between two teams. It was gonna happen.
Great about the game, man. That fourth quarter was amazing. Like
it was amazing.
Yeah. And like, you know, Allen has nothing to be ashamed of. That offense, Gabriel Davis, only first person to have 4 receiving
touchdowns, right?
Yeah, that's Buffalo.
Buffalo played their behinds off. Josh Allen,
they did.
You know, he took a step forward, and you know, unfortunately, you got to play for 60 minutes. Got to play for 60 minutes. They had a whole 60 minutes. They had
on both sides, the whole 60 minutes.
They did.
And they needed to get another stop, and they couldn't do it.
You know what I think? I think they're gonna regret beyond the defense at the end of that game is them not getting home field. And I think
Buffalo?
Yeah. I think next year they gotta be a little bit more. They had a little dip in this season, and there really was no reason for that. They should have owned that East division and kept themselves up, through the playoffs where they could. No, I don't know how different that game would have been in Buffalo, but you would, you don't want to go to KC in January. Not while they got the team that they got right now.
Listen, I'm staying right here. I like Cincinnati the way they're playing, but I also think KC peaked at the right time, and KC is just going. KC now I will say this: if Honey Badger isn't able to play because of concussion, if he isn't able to play in the next game, I think Cincinnati got a real good chance of winning that game.
Look who's throwing the ball for them. Look how they doing it.
That's what I'm saying.
The thing about the Cincinnati game for me is even though they went into Tennessee and beat them, how many times did Joe Burrow get sacked?
Yeah, but you know what?
You know they ain't got no offensive line, Joe.
But here's the thing:
they don't.
You can't take those. You're not gonna be able to take those sacks against Kansas City. You can't. No, you got to be able. You got to be able to put points up, and you can't have the drives killed by sacks. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing that Kansas City went through last year, and they had to come back and retool their offensive line as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very true. Going back to Ryan Post, but I think with KC, with Cincinnati, you can't put up 19 points and expect to beat Kansas City. That's not
right. No, not at all.
Yeah, I already said I think Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl. Now for San Francisco and the Rams. I did predict, the Rams are playing good enough. We'll be able to have 2 years in a row the host team be able to host the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so I think it's a good chance. Yeah. But man, San Francisco defense is that 49ers Packers game remind me of an old school Bears Packers game. Was kind of like the offense ain't doing nothing. It's straight defense. All the snow. Let's see what happens.
And they gave up the score right at the beginning of that game, and it was looking like, man, they're gonna get ran over.
And they locked them down. San Francisco defense is for real. I'm not sold on Jimmy Garoppolo. I'd rather have Matthew Stafford.
For real.
But San Francisco's defense, man, they on a whole other level right now. They on another level right now. And they already know, we whoop your ass twice in the season. And Matthew Stafford threw 2 picks, I think, in each game. So they know they got him. They know they send their head. So, man, if you had to put a gun to my head right now, I think I'm gonna say probably the 49ers gonna beat the Rams.
Yeah,
so you thinking 49ers in KC?
I'm kind of feeling like I'm feeling like the 49ers too.
Yo, say your picks for tomorrow. We got, we doing
okay.
Tomorrow.
I mean, I was really concerned. I was really concerned with the way that the Rams start coughing up the ball at the end of that game against Tampa Bay.
Matthew Stafford was turned into Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford at the end, it didn't look that good. I know Dan Orlovsky running around with his bomber jacket.
He praised the Lord for Cooper Kupp though.
Man, Cooper Kupp was amazing. I mean, listen, I'm not saying the Rams don't have a shot. It's probably gonna be a really close game because the defense is so good. And I'm not trying to.
I think they got more than a shot.
Yeah. I ain't trying to shit on the Rams defense either because they great too. That front four is like a Hall of Fame front four. So. They
were beat down Brady for a lot of that game.
And they did. And they are playing against Jimmy Garoppolo. But man, that San Francisco 49ers defense. Woo-wee. It's something nasty. Something nasty right now. And Jimmy G just do what he needs to do. That's it. That's all you got to do, man. That's all you got to do.
Who we got we got all these former Bears in the NFC Championship game now. You got Robbie Gould, Leonard Floyd,
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, fellas, I'm about to switch over with my running guys. But I want to before we do that, I know you guys are both in the baseball heavy too. We got some baseball stuff that came across today at a couple levels. Well, first, we'll get into Hall of Fame stuff in a second. But what have y'all heard about these new guys that the Sox have picked up?
They all look like they're about 13 years old. They all look very young.
They locking down the Dominican and
listen, I'm all for it.
And, Cuba, they doing their thing, man. But
yes, I'm all for it.
Oscar Colas and let me get the other name. Let me see. I'm looking at some of my.
So in 2029, we're gonna be out there rooting for these young fellas. Hopefully,
I mean, this is probably a good way to keep the momentum going, even when some of the guys they got now, price themselves out of the team's budget, But
hey, that's one thing I will say I love about the Chicago White Sox is they keep that farm system and an international talent. They keep that talent coming in like clockwork. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we'll see. We'll see once they get to once they get into the organization. Once they get down to, single A, double A, triple A, and hopefully to the main roster, we'll see what they're doing. But hey, man, listen, I'm all for it. I have trust in the White Sox front office. I'm a season ticket holder. I better have trust in them to get my money.
I mean, look, there's no reason to feel bad. We just got to see if they can, if the league and the Players Association can get on.
Well,
I would say it seemed like there been some good news. It seemed like there been some advancement in the past couple of days.
Yeah, it seems like they've made some headway on service time and how much revenue the owners are going to want to share with the players. So it seems like those are the two biggest issues that they made headway on, and it seems like everything else will fall into place after those two big issues. I was having some internet issues. I heard you guys saying that the young guys they have that they've signed for the White Sox, Oscar Colas, Cuban defector, right now,
Cuban,
right, coming out of playing in Dominican right now, or living in the Dominican right now, but he's 23 years old, and this is somebody that they were kind of saying like is another Shohei Ohtani type. Supposedly he has plus stuff pitching, but he's a very good right fielder. They say very good right fielder, very good left-handed bat, and so I'm more interested in him in the right field aspect because that's been a hole for the White Sox for the last couple of seasons. They haven't really found a consistent person to man that corner of the right field. And we still need a second baseman.
Yeah.
So, I was really hoping they would, be able to land Marcus Semien or
he got paid. Who signed him?
The Texas Rangers.
Texas Rangers. Crazy.
They went on a spending spree before the lockout. Yeah.
Right.
They still gonna win about 75 games.
Right. So, but I'm really interested to see how the the Sox are going to handle those holes in their lineup.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They got to lock down second base, man. They got to lock down second base. They got to do something.
Man, what did you do to agitate these Russians, Kyle?
They back.
I don't know, man.
Why can't I see this? I want to see the Russians.
What?
We are not Tucker Carlson. We are not Tucker Carlson. What are y'all? Get out of here.
Let me get Drew on. Maybe they'll like us better with Drew on.
Oh, they like Drew. Oh, we got a light skin one. Yeah,
hey, man. Come on. all that color complex talk, man. I thought we was past that.
the Russians like, oh, we got a lighter one. All right. Now I like it. What up, Drew?
We got Gabe on it all too, man. Shout out to Gabe Wilkins. But before we transition to the basketball stuff, right quick, the Hall of Fame made his votes. They put in, speaking of dark skin, they put in David Ortiz. They ain't put in nobody else dark skin who they think is or who they think is juiced to anything. No Sammy still, no Barry Bonds, and not even Clemens.
Roger Clemens.
And definitely no Mark Burley. He only got like 11% of the. No, he got 5.8% of the vote after 11% last year.
Now, this 5.8%, that's just over the threshold to stay on the ballot, right?
Yeah. I guess so. It don't look good either way.
It don't look good either way, but
he ain't getting into the Hall of Fame.
I mean, no.
And I love Burley.
I love Burley too. I don't think
if he was in New York or something, no, he'd have got in. He'd be closer at least.
You think so?
I think so. If he did what he did with the Sox for the Yankees, yeah, definitely. Or the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, you got two perfect. I mean, not two perfect games, but two no hitters. One perfect
World
game.
Series, yeah, World Series
championship.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm like I say, I'm do a quick rant. I think the whole process is too cliquish. They don't let enough of the diversity of people who cover the game of baseball. It's getting more diverse by the year. When we talk about people of color and younger people who cover the game, it's just these like a couple dozen old white dudes who've covered the game for 50 years making these decisions, and they doing this stupid stuff, keeping out Barnes and all these guys. Look, I just don't like it. The process is whack. And to have the Hall of Fame without Barry Bonds don't make no damn sense to me.
Here's the thing, too. You want to talk about the steroid era. You want to keep up those guys. That was an era in baseball. It is a part of history. All right. It
just
wasn't
like
a player.
The
it wasn't
ball
a player
era,
that wasn't
just like segregation. How do you judge those guys' numbers against what we have today?
It wasn't a player that wasn't juicing back then. I'm just sorry. That's just the way it was. And
wait a minute, didn't Big Papi get popped? Didn't Big Papi get popped for?
Yeah, but he had a letter from the commissioner that made him exempt for some reason.
They let him slide.
They let him slide for some reason.
Kenan Thompson play him on SNL, so they let him slide.
Right. So
he got shot. We gotta put him in, y'all. We gotta put him in.
Right. So I mean, that's the thing about it. I mean, these guys were the biggest stars in that era. You got to put them in. I don't care if they did steroids.
They literally saved baseball.
Right.
Like, literally. Sammy Sosa, I never thought was a Hall of Famer anyway. Same way I don't think Mark Burley's a Hall of Famer. Like both of them, you know what I'm saying? But they ain't Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer.
If you look straight at the numbers, I think Sammy gets in.
You think Sammy should get in? Really?
Sosa not a Hall of Fame.
If he was clean, he would get in.
What was he batted like 260 or 250, something like this. What's up?
Put it like this on the Sosa thing.
What's
5
up?
years old. I can remember the summer of 1998 because I was reading the Sun Times every day and I was looking at the home between July to September. And the main reason why I was looking at it wasn't because of the guy who broke the record. He did the previous to get back in that race. So that was one of my first earliest introductions to baseball. Was seeing Sammy Sosa. And to me, anytime you a member of like the 500 home run, 600 home run club, especially back when he played, you typically a guaranteed shoe-in for the Hall. So in my opinion,
but I don't
Sammy is a Hall of Famer.
I don't think,
but just me and Barry.
I don't even think Mark McGwire's a Hall of Fame. I'm talking about strictly baseball playing. They had that one dimension. Yes, they had that one dimension, and that was to hit the home runs, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Mark McGwire,
man.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me finish. Mark McGwire. Hold on. Mark McGwire got his World Series championship.
They can hit without the juice.
They can who? I'm not saying that they hit. Listen,
I said
they hit a baseball
without the juice.
They could.
And Sammy was a 40-40 guy before he was getting popped.
He was a 40-40 guy. He was, especially when he was the White Sox. He was with the Jerry curl. He was kind of coming up. You know what I'm saying? He kind of did his thing. He kind of did his thing. He had he had the Jerry curl in it. I remember all that back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But my thing is, they definitely made an impact on the game during that time. They definitely saved the game during that time. Not denying that at all. But as like a pure baseball player that probably deserves to be in a Hall of Fame, I wouldn't put them there. They are not Barry Bonds by no stretch of the imagination. No. They're not even Roger Clemens by no stretch of the imagination. Those two guys are Hall of Famers. Big Papi is a Hall of Famer. 3 world championships with the Red Sox, and he basically turned that franchise around when he got there. I remember him playing in Minnesota.
There are levels to it, cuz it's like, look, like you say, it's not.
There's levels to it.
Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame.
Hey, man, Harold Baines got in because Jerry Reinsdorf split somebody to bag. Come on, man.
But anyway, he's in there.
He is. I'm not saying he's not. Hey, man, you got to get you some good friends on the inside to slide you on in. Hey, man,
Sammy don't have any friends. Sammy don't have any friends.
Sammy don't have friends.
He likes skiing in the Dominican right now, man.
Sammy don't have friends, and Sammy is pink. He ain't getting into the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Here's
the thing. But here's the thing. I disagree when you say.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's political. It's political.
It's political. Yes.
It's political.
Yeah.
All right, let Joe, and we got to move on, man. Because
I got you. The home run is the most exciting thing in baseball.
Chicks need the long ball, baby.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And this dude got over 500 of them. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It's the other stuff why he's not in there, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It should.
I want my Hall of Fame to be pure.
It should be more about strictly the numbers. And if you want to record or put for posterity what these guys did to cheat or whatever, you can do that. You can tell the whole story. It's their Hall of Fame, but the Hall of Fame isn't as truthful and it isn't as relevant as it could be. If you can't shut these guys out from history. No, just because you don't want to have them in Cooperstown.
Last point, Cuzzo. I think
Cobb's in there. Put Barry in there.
He hated all of us. Listen,
right.
Listen. Last point. I think eventually they're going to get in because, as you said, Cuzzo, it's cliquish and it's a bunch of older cats. Those older cats eventually, what do we all do? We all pass on. And then a new class is going to come in. It's going to be guys of our age.
Writers, you're talking about writers against
writers and stuff. Yes.
There's still a committee. The committee. Let me look this up quick. John Greenberg tweeted this out.
What did he say?
The Today's Game Committee, and it's apparently 16 members, Hall of Famers, people already in the Hall of Fame. So you're talking about players, executives, and veteran. Well, that may be risky. They're veteran media members. But I think when you include players in the conversation, I think there's more of a chance that they'll be able to.
They'll get in. They're eventually going to get in. But then you know what? It's going to happen when they're a lot later in age, and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, they'll be around to see. It's going to happen because those older guys are going to pass on.
Hopefully they'll get done up like Ron Santo or something. They have to pass.
Or Ed Buck O'Neal. Hopefully, it don't happen like Buck O'Neal. You know what I'm saying? He should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago, but they waited till this man passed away. Oh, I guess it's dead now. You don't want to do that. Right. You don't want to do that. So they're eventually going to get them. I'm not saying that they're not. But would I put them in personally? No, I wouldn't put those two in. I put in Barry, and I even put in Roger Clemens in. But the other two, no.
Well, thanks for setting it off, D. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, everybody was using.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think that do they have none of the memorabilia or any of the things in the Hall of Fame from those guys? I don't think.
Oh, they do. They got a lot of stuff for theirs in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, listen, man. They treat them like some straight hoes. Like I own them. They treat them like that. I ain't denying that at all. Like, yeah, give me that bat, give me that jersey you wore. Can I get in? Hell no, you can't get in, bitch. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? They definitely doing that to them. I'm not denying that at all. It's just I think when it comes down to, I'm just looking at the numbers. I know they got the home run numbers, but a little bit more. You know, I don't know. This is me, but you know, it'll happen eventually. It will.
All right. Well, thank you, D, for setting off my little conversation.
That's what I do, cuzzo. I come in, I flip shit over.
Make the furniture move on that one here. But we gonna move on with my guy, with my running guys. Thanks, D.
What Drew go? What Drew?
Drew been off on the side. He popped out and let me.
Oh, there you go.
The Russians don't want me either, man. They kicked me out, man.
Hey, what's wrong about the Russians? Let's see if we can survive the next 40 minutes or so. Thank you, fellas. I'll let y'all go.
Right.
Joe,
love you, boys.
You, man. D, it's good to see you.
Always, boys. Love y'all, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I said, that was sounding like an old session. Josh would know that was definitely sound like an old session on State Street there.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, these are my guys here: Gabe, Josh, Drew. running with War Crew, assembling here for the rest of the show. Just want to get some basketball talk in. Like we haven't done a session yet in 22, so just wanted to get something going here today. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot that we can talk about on the basketball side, definitely. But I guess given that we're Chicagoans, our focus primarily is on the Bulls. Pretty easy way to start with them. Like a lot has gone on with them since we were last on all together. And they're not number one in the East no more. They're not far off, but things are bunching up a bit in those East standings. And a lot of people may not be I don't think they're looking at the Bulls the same way as they did around Christmas time and everything. But I'll let you speak on it yourself, guys. What are y'all thoughts on where the Bulls are sitting right now? They barely pulled out a game in Oklahoma yesterday, coming off of a bad loss in Orlando the day before. I forget to know. There's like 2 or 3 of the last 10. It's been a rough stretch, and it hasn't gotten easier with the injuries and stuff. And I I don't know. Like I said, what's y'all thoughts on the team right now? Are you particularly worried? What range of worry are you at this point? Sure. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm with Gabe too. I'm not panicking for all the reasons that Gabe laid out, but also because this next stretch of games that got coming up before the All-Star break is pretty soft. All things considered, even after the All-Star break is soft as well from the standpoint of where it's not like that. What was that November stretch where it was like hitter after hitter after hitter after hitter? Like this one, it's more of sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. And I think they can withstand that as long as DeRozan and Levine stay healthy, and they can give this team the consistent scoring that it needs, because you can't, we've seen that they can't count on consistent scoring from Vucevic. They can count on his playmaking and his rebounding, but in terms of being that third option that the Bulls intended him to be, I'm guessing when they assembled this roster coming into this year, he hasn't been that for them. And those losses of Caruso and Ball are huge. But because they do have Levine and DeRozan back in that lineup, I'm not quite as worried. Also, just to see what's going to happen with this trade deadline, that's going to be like something that I'm really interested in seeing, is if the injuries affect how the front office approaches this trade deadline. I guess we won't know necessarily because we're not really they're really good at having poker faces, but they've been aggressive and they've always seemed to be making the win now type move. So to see if they are willing to part ways with Patrick Williams, giving up their first lottery pick in the positions that they're in with the Chicago Bulls, that'll be interesting to see. So a lot of storylines moving forward for sure.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you, Drew. That the trade, how the team is coming out of that trade deadline is important to me. How it is coming out of that 10-day period. If it stays right at the moment, it's February 17th was the last day where you could sign people for 10-day contracts. But I would wait till mid-February at the earliest before I would be like, okay, this is the team that they have to ride with for the rest of the year.
Yeah, most definitely. But y'all over here, y'all must have hella faith. I'm glad y'all do. I normally do for my Bulls as well. But I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. I mean, I'm a little worried. But this is why. Because Drew, you brought up the fact that their schedule's a little softer than all the heavy hitters they've been having. Well, look at even in the soft schedule. They ain't been beating these teams that they could. They almost gave up the game. They lost, like we just mentioned, they lost to Orlando.
Yeah, well, that's too good.
You almost gave up last night's game to the Thunder when you was up by 28. And in each of these games, aside from DeMar DeRozan's 41-point game, your best player was your rookie in Io. That scares me a little bit, considering that you have a veteran presence team that, yes, of course, were plagued by injury. Even though we just can't get rid of the injury bug, no matter what happens throughout the season. Caruso being out, Ball being out, great points on that, because that is very true. But for a team that's, next, I don't care who's on the court, at the end of the day, you have to be able to show up and show out. This team isn't equipped for that right now. And it's showing. So I'm a little worried. Because not necessarily the roster itself, but because even with the roster, we have hella talent to win, but that talent isn't coming together in the right moments, where as a winning team, a top-tier team in the Eastern Conference that we are supposed to be and have been, we cannot finish games in the way that we're supposed to against the teams that we're supposed to be. And Orlando Magic are a prime example of that.
But go ahead, Drew.
No, my bad. I was gonna say only that's valid too, for sure. It's definitely some concerning factors at play here. But the only pushback I'll give to that is that it's hard to judge what we've seen really since that stretch where they won 9 games in a row. Even though they were winning, that defense that's when the defense was starting to slip, when Caruso was out, when Ball was out, and the fact that this team hasn't been whole the entire season, and depending on if and when Williams gets back, they won't be whole the entire season moving forward. So it's hard to really judge what we're seeing accurately because they haven't been on the floor the way they're intended to be. Like Gabe said earlier, and like how you addressed too, Josh, Ayo Dosunmu was their best perimeter defender right now. And as well as he's played recently, there's a couple games where he, didn't shoot well at all from the field. His defense was still there. But when you're trying to depend on a rookie who, what game are we at now? Are we 40 games in now? Like, this will be the time when he's had been March Madness. So that wall is probably coming up soon, even though the All-Star break is nearing. But yet and still, Jones Jr., Ball, Caruso, hopefully, especially Jones Jr., but these guys should be back within about a month before the playoffs start. That should be a decent enough time for them to, get some games under their belt, hopefully be able to mesh together again and ramp up for the playoffs. You just hope that they don't dip too far back in the playoff seedings, like hopefully not past the 4th seed where they're not hosting the first round matchup.
Yeah. What if? I mean, it's all good points. Go ahead. And the point I was going to jump off of now is, we mentioned Ayo being, pretty much the team's best perimeter defender at the moment. Well, that wouldn't be the case if Caruso was available. And Caruso's injury, much more than any other this year, is more senseless than any other Bulls injury because of what happened with Grayson Allen. So I want to go back a little bit to last Friday in that game, and it's a lot that's fallen out from that. Allen gets a 1-game suspension, and really disappointed in the Bucks as an organization, the way that they wanted to represent themselves. I understand backing your guy, but being petulant about it, in my opinion, don't make no sense. Acting like you being put upon by the league, when your guy should have got more games than what he got. Everybody outside of Milwaukee has agreed with that, and he has his reputation. We've all seen his reputation in time after time, national televised instances of him just doing bullshit on the court and hurting people potentially, and actually hurting people, going back to his days at Duke. And I just really wish it was the Bulls had someone, or maybe they could have teleported Oakley or somebody from the 80s who would have been right there to punch him in his mouth as soon as he did what he did. But the Bulls don't have that apparently, and that may be another reason why. I don't know if they have the right nucleus of guys right now. I'm not saying that you need to have a thug, your own thug necessarily, but I can't think of a team that has reached the highest heights in the NBA who wouldn't have a guy, or at least guy who was willing to, regardless of reputation, be willing to jump up in Grayson Allen's face in a moment like that. And the Bulls did no such thing in the moment. And that's really one thing that worries me about the team as much as anything. If you guys want to jump off on that, feel free.
You saying there's too many nice guys?
At the moment, yes.
No, I think that's fair, man. I think Grayson Allen, he was good. He went for the ball with that left hand. He was cool till he started doing that nonsense with his opposite hand and trying to yank Caruso down. I just don't understand it. I don't think many of us do. You bring up a good point about the organization in general. I know they pulled down that tweet that they sent off the following morning.
I think the tweet came out, I think, before the report that Caruso was going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So I think that was the timeline. Yeah. And once that came out, they took down the tweet.
Yeah, and then the organization saying they didn't agree with the suspension. It's just, and like you said, I understand Chris Middleton, Budenholzer coming out and backing Grayson, because what else are they supposed to do? But if you look at that video, man, it's clear. Like this, after that, like I said, after that initial play on the ball with his left hand, Grayson Allen goes and does whatever he did with that right hand, and totally not a basketball play.
Not at all.
He's on the sideline smirking. It's just nonsense. I'm surprised that he only got 1 game when the NBA and all the national writers made it clear that teams or the league office would take into effect the outcome of said play when it came to what the determination would be for him to be suspended. So I was surprised by that 1 game.
Andrew, I'll take it a step further for you. I'm more disappointed in the league because if you went in the NBA, if you're not in the game and you on the bench, you step on the court, that's automatic 1 game suspension. So you're gonna compare that type of suspension that Grayson Allen got, that type of play that you can get according to league rules. No, they don't match up at all. And
that's a good point.
The league should know that. And so because of the fact they only gave him that 1 game, which can equate to a harmless play that someone else that's not even in the game can get. I mean, come on. That's just ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense, and the league should be ashamed of that. And obviously Kyle talking about nice guys. Yeah, there's a lot of nice guys. But you can technically, your 1 mean guy is actually the guy that got hurt. And that was Caruso. So if Caruso being that guy, you're gonna have to get maybe one more other person to be like, yo, you're not my homie down. I'm gonna have to get you back up, because if someone else was in Caruso's position, you would know Caruso will probably be that one guy to get in your face. focus. So Cruz just needs additional help, but he needs a little help. He needs a little help on that.
Yeah, and let's see again when we talk about a lot of the Bulls, what they need to add. A lot of it centers around the front court, and really in the front court, that's traditionally where you have that guy. The Bad Boy Pistons had a bunch of them. You had the Knicks had a bunch of back. The Bulls had, like I say, going from Oakley to Cartwright to Livingston. Even Stacey King was down to throw a punch every now and then. Like they had guys like that throughout the dynasty, and the Bulls the Derrick Rose Bulls. Noah, you had guys like that who was willing to get up in people's faces at least. Not, maybe they was selling wolf tickets, but you got to at least show out for your people when they get, hit upon on the court. So, like I said, the Bulls just need one guy like that, at least one guy. And, if it's a front court guy or a back court guy, don't really matter. But usually, like I said, traditionally, you have that guy in the front court. And it ain't going to be Tony Bradley. I know that because we see him get picked up and cuddled like a baby already. So they need to upgrade that part of the team.
Yeah. No doubt. Javonte Green, I think, got some of that in DeMar DeRozan.
He wasn't available yet at that point.
The problem is they're so important to the team. You can't have them getting thrown out or getting a game suspension themselves, man. It's crazy.
Right, we can't. Right. That's why I say I was in the text, man. I said I hate to reference the text chat, but but Josh, no, we got to use a 10-day contract to get a thug in from get somebody in from the big three or something. Now I nominated Reggie Evans when Josh, I don't know if you remember when they was at the UIC Pavilion last year. He almost got into it with somebody. And, so I was like,
all they had to do for that.
I was like, yeah, let's see what Reggie doing. But the next time they play the Bucks, get him on a 10-day and let him, just let him do what he do.
Man, yes.
Man, anyway, that's what it is. And look, yes. Okay, yeah. The next game is gonna be here. Okay, yeah.
They need to make that a national game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. Like when he got into it with Mo Wagner on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah,
man.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting that next game, being that it's going to be here, the crowd is going to be really up for it. And I'm like I said, the team may be a little different at that point, so I'm willing to see, but I think the guys who were there on the court on Friday, I'm willing. I'm gonna be more interested in how they respond as much as anything, and how they're going to play, what type of message they're going to send. If they come out and flop like they did in the Nets game a couple weeks ago, that's not going to be a good sign. But if they come out and play, with a purpose and they play physical, and if there's any sight of mess coming from whoever on that team, Allen or whoever, if they negate that right away, they nip it in the bud, then I think I will feel better about the Bulls at that point. But if they do some soft stuff again and don't stand up for themselves, that's not going to be a good look, especially at that point. We're talking about March. Yeah, they got to be a little bit different at that point than they are now. But yeah. Sure. Yeah. Right. And that's controlling your narrative. Like,
Yeah.
when you don't show up for those games like that, you like say you let people think that, well, yeah, they ain't ready, and they make their assumptions about you. As it is, I think teams are gearing up to play the Bulls in a way that you normally don't get with a team who didn't make the playoffs last year. But it seems like teams are already ready to knock the Bulls off when they play them, especially lower class teams like OKC and Orlando. Like Orlando, that had to have been one of their 2 or 3 best performances of the whole season on Sunday. And they geared up like they was, my man from Gonzaga was doing
man, he was
he was really showing out like dude, you only got 9 wins after tonight, man. Chill out.
See, I agree that the Bulls definitely got a bullseye on their back. Because of how well they play. Other teams here, the Bulls back, huh? Okay, we're gonna show y'all something. But Orlando, especially, you got to remember they got Wendell Carter Jr., they got Franz Wagner, 2 guys who could have been here, for all intents and purposes. So they got they're playing with a little more something behind them than they ordinarily would. Just in that case, like Orlando's kind of a special case with that. I think they're probably gonna, as long as they got those 2 guys, they're gonna keep trying to give the Bulls their A game. But to go back on another point you had, it's just unfortunate that the times that the Bulls have been on national TV, and you don't want to make excuses, but they didn't have Vucevic against Golden State. Derrick Jones Jr. gets hurt like the first minute against the Nets, and actually that game was competitive until the 3rd quarter. That's when Durant just uppercutted him in the mouth, and he just didn't have any response. Against the Warriors, Levine goes down the first 3-4 minutes of the game, and of course you want to see some backbone from your team. You want to see some resolve, but just given the amount of injuries that this team has had, and you see Levine skate off to the locker room, not really understanding what it might be, that has to do something to your morale. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just trying to.
There's only so much you could take.
Yeah, and they did have a better showing in Milwaukee. You could argue that that's a game they should have pulled out if Kobe and Io hit a few more shots, because those guys have been, especially Kobe, he's been really off the last 3 games. Maybe he was due to be off because of how hot he had been. Io, of course, shot much better yesterday, broke the Bulls record for the most makes by a rookie, 9 straight. So, I just want this team to get whole. I want to see what they look like, whether or not they trade Patrick Williams. I'm still every day, I swear, y'all, I'm back and forth like, they need to go ahead and just go for it. Then I back off and say, nah, let's keep him and see what happens. I don't know, man. I'm just glad I ain't got to make that decision.
Nah, I just hope that the Bulls are ready for when Grayson Allen comes here. I want Grayson Allen to get a Botox ass whooping. Like, I want them to make sure, like we know for sure he's going to be put on his ass if he plays here, man. Like, that's what I want him to get. I want him to learn what it's like to be part of bully ball again. And for us to get back to that, he gonna learn. I just hope the Bulls get it right for that one time. But if someone just puts them on his ass, that's all I want. I just have one time, and it'll be good. Aside from them getting blown out on national television, on national television, I don't want that to happen either. But yeah, Grayson got something coming for him. Because like Gabe said, it's a lot different when you come to the Madhouse on Madison, man. It's a lot different.
That's something that is got to. It's due. It's due. I wonder what it's gonna take, man, for him, because he hasn't been as wild as he was at Duke, but he's had a couple instances in the NBA as well. And like I say, that thing, what he did to Caruso was just blatant, man. So I just wonder if he think he gonna pull something like that again. What's it gonna take for somebody to just, like say, bust him in his mouth or clip him, undercut him when he's trying to drive or something, man. Just do some old school stuff on, because he acted like he brand new or something with this.
I'm starting to get visions of JoJo English and Derek Harper going into the stands, man.
They did. That's how thorough they was back then. The commissioner was right there. They was like, we don't care. We getting it on, man.
Man, it was just two bulls in the ring, man.
Oh, good old days, man. Anyway, learning to run up in the crowd quick, man.
Man, right? You talk about you mentioned a lot of times it's the front court guys. But as soon as you said that, the first guard that came to mind was Vernon Maxwell.
That's true. That's true.
Man, not at all. Not at all.
Well, fellas, man, anything else that's really been sticking out at y'all as it's interesting, man, because the Bulls, it's sort of like with the COVID thing, we was able to look back and see that they sort of dodged a bullet there, because they had some of the worst COVID breakout of any team in the league, but they still pretty much won through that stretch. Now you had this January, which is going to go down as a pretty forgetful month for them, but they're still not really in a bad spot at the moment, because you've had, the Nets, who really they've had their issues as well in recent times, and Durant has been injured now. Yeah, what you say?
They just lost to the Lakers just now.
Yeah, lost to the Lakers tonight. They're not doing well, so they're not doing too well where they're breaking away from the Bulls. We know the Sixers have their issues still, and the Bucks, like the Bulls, played competitively with the Bucks in that game on Friday, and they just, overall they've played decent, but they haven't shot off to the moon either. So the Bulls are still very much in that mix of the top four. And there's, like I said, there's a bunching in the East. It's getting closer together. Maybe Miami is the team that we have to worry about, is really showing out in the second half of the season. But what do you guys think overall about what's going on in the East? And maybe we could hop over to the West too right quick before we head out. But what do you guys think about how things are played out the last few weeks?
Man.
But Gabe, what do you think about? I said, Gabe, what do you think about this talk about maybe them holding off till the off season and doing this thing with the James with Harden, maybe coming over and unloading Simmons that way. Yeah. Drew, y'all got anything you want to add to that, or anything else you got been keeping track of?
Man, I'm just listening to this James Harden's talk, and I'm like, and I get it, but winning cures all, right? Like, I just can't help but wonder if down the line, second half of the season, something happens with Kyrie to where he maybe comes back full time, or he comes through enough with a healthy Kevin Durant. Brooklyn gets rolling, you get Joe Harris back, and you get rolling, and you eventually, what if they do make the finals, or what if they win the finals? You know, James Harden, is he really going to sit here and be like, well, I mean, I didn't sign up for all this chaos, but this chaos helped me get close to a championship. Am I going to get that anywhere else? Like, is that really going to change his mind? Yo, I should leave or I should stay. Yeah, of course, I believe he's going to test free agency, like Gabe mentioned, as he should. But at the same time, how much is he really going to test in the free agency market, especially if, you know, the Nets come through and make a deep playoff push and potentially get to the finals, even win the finals?
Well, we've had guys leave championship teams. You know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because he, like you say, he hasn't done it yet.
Right.
Yeah. He got a nice Philly beard. You know. He be walking around calling folks Ock and stuff, you know. You know. But well, you know, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I kind of want to see that happen. You know, when I think about it, I kind of want to see him end up in Philly, because him and as tough as that would make it on the Bulls and all the other contenders in the East, like that could be a pretty crazy 1-2 combination. That him and Embiid, you know, the way the Embiid's been playing, and Embiid, I think like I say, he's getting hungry. I think his play is a byproduct of his hunger. That's, you know.
Let me just say this on this part. I want that to happen just for the simple fact to see how quick or how much pressure gets put on Kyrie to get the vaccine. Because you can't tell me Kevin Durant go sit up there and say, "Oh, James left, bro. You only playing road games? Nah, dog. You got to get. You got to
do that again."
Damn, I forgot about that part of the trade. I'm sorry. I'm thinking, my bad. I didn't even think about that. Exactly. Yeah. Mm. That's a good point. I'm interested in seeing what's happening with this. What's going to happen with the MVP conversation? There's a lot of names. You know, Steph Curry's name was hot at one point. Now he's kind of lost a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
And I mean, we talk. You know, I know, Gabe, you made a comparison to Nikola, to Joker. You know, Joker been playing crazy too, man. I remember the game last week. He had the damn near 50 triple-double, man. He had at least 40 in that game. I think it's Dallas. Yeah, he been carrying that team. That's probably gonna be the one issue. How competitive is the Nuggets gonna be overall as a team? But he may be playing better, you know, at least producing better numbers than he did even in his MVP run.
And I thought I heard rumblings that Michael Porter Jr. and Murray might be back this year at some point.
That'd be big. That'd be big.
Man.
Ooh. Well, that's my main question for the West right now. Like, what do y'all? It seems like, Gabe, you sort of lean to this. There still is a chance for some frenzy over there, you know, because it's like at the moment things are set up pretty easily. You got that top four that sort of, you know, they differentiated themselves from the rest of the conference. Everybody's still waiting to see if the Lakers can pull it together. And you got a team like Denver again, who may be getting reinforcements on the back end of the season. So, you know, it would seem that y'all think that there's still a chance for the West. The West isn't as settled yet as it could be.
No, not like you said, kind of that, man. But even 3 through, well, it's not as bunched up, of course, as the East, but it's still not like it's still some room there for some things to switch up here come second half of the season.
Yeah.
If where it's at right now, I'm perfectly fine. Because I'm not gonna lie, Gabe, you got me. You remind me. I'm a Ram versus. True.
I knew you was gonna bring up the Clippers. Yeah. Yeah.
But isn't there talk about PG-13 being out the rest of the year, possibly?
Yep. If he goes surgery.
Is he gonna weigh that decision against the availability of Kawhi?
Okay. And then Draymond Green, I thought I read something about that injury not looking too good either. Like it might be a long-term thing too. And how would you guys? Because they would if the playoffs started to play in would factor into this too. But would you give the Timberwolves any shot against the Draymond Greenless Warriors?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't. I wouldn't want them to have Draymond. I wouldn't want them to be Draymondless against Edwards. You know, they need someone to help contain that man, and you know he's gonna be trying to dunk on everybody in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure.
Well, you hope not if you got James Wiseman back healthy.
Mm.
Yeah. Man, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Cat is no walk in the park either.
Oh no.
And I don't know. It would go back to how much does Kurt trust Wiseman. I'm not even sure. I don't know, man. He loves Looney for the veteran presence he can be. He knows what he's going to get from Looney. Wiseman is a lot more of a wild card. His hands, for whatever reason, haven't been great. The foul trouble, some of that I give to just being in that rookie year. A lot of big guys struggle with that coming up to the professional level, but that's definitely a great point, Gabe, for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to wrap things up in a minute here, but I want to like I say, it's been good. I think we're gonna hold off on some other things that I may, as we get another Russian. I don't know what this. Maybe this mean trade Wiseman or something. I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on, because I put it in the rundown and everything. The McDonald's game coming back to Chicago. There's some other things I want to get into, but I think that'll take us too long, and I might just go ahead and do a Twitter space or something later in the week and talk about some other things that I got on my mind. But the McDonald's game, they had was timely about that too, is they announced the rosters today. But the 45th anniversary of the game this year, they bring it back to Chicago after a few years. I think they had it in Atlanta, and maybe a couple other places or two for a few years. But they bring it back to Chicago this year, and again, there's no current Chicagoans on the roster apparently. The boys roster, they led by Amari Bailey, who we all know came up in Chicago, but he's to quote Joakim Noah Hollywood as hell at this point, because he's been out there Sierra Canyon for a while, and he's looking to stay at UCLA for his likely one and done. But that's gonna be a showcase for him definitely. And another thing I want to bring up too, of course, that Sierra Canyon team is going to be coming to Chicago on February 5th. They're going to have a doubleheader at Wintrust Arena, and Sierra's going to be playing. Who they're going to be playing? They were playing Simeon, but now Simeon's going to be playing.
West.
Okay, yeah, they're playing Glenbard West now. Simeon's going to be playing somewhere else. I guess they're going to have a compete thing at Credit One or whatever, and that's going to be an interesting day here in the city. But high school stuff is ramping up again, but we still don't have any representation from Chicago or the Chicago area in the McDonald's games. I find a little disappointing, but I'm still going to be looking to cover it again here. This in the city. I know you guys are looking forward to it as well. Any thoughts on that right quick? And it'll be interesting to see by the end of the year, by the end of the spring, who shows themselves in Chicago or in the Chicago area, because you do got people like Glenbar West, and they have like Braden Huff and everything. And, you know, you got a team like Simeon who they don't have that big star like they typically have, but as a team, they've sort of impressed over the course of the season and their growth and everything. But it goes back to what we were talking about before the season about these kids who are drawn to, you know, more warmer climates and, you know, more high profile, prep academies and all this stuff. And it's you know, it is like I say, those kids should be empowered to do what they need to do to get where they want to go. All power to them, but it impairs Chicago and the grassroots scene here in Chicago from, you know, when you talking AAU or the high schools, you know, it takes a little less shine off of them. And, you know, hopefully something like the Sierra Canyon game, you know, maybe Glenbar West can represent in a certain way in that game and show, you know, just what we got here in the city, in the area right now, instead of just, you know, who's the next pickings for Sierra Canyon or Donda Academy or whoever, you know.
For sure.
But
Glenbar played a lot of big time. Like, this is a big time game. Has Glenbar West played a lot of those games this year? I haven't been keeping too much attention on that, and I was seeing like how they react at the beginning of that game.
Yeah, okay. That's one thing I want to do, like in the Twitter space. We're gonna get Steve on. I told him I want to talk to about. They had a big showcase this past weekend, and they beat Whitney Young. They've had a few games like that this season where they play city schools, and, you know, they showed out. They've come. They haven't been afraid to play anybody as far as I've seen.
Okay. And they undefeated, I believe, right? It's the number one team, the number one ranked team in the nation, and in the state at least, that's undefeated.
Yeah. No problem. And another team, Glenbrook. Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Another thing I want to note, you know, you got the big Arizona UCLA. I'm speaking of UCLA with Amari Bailey. UCLA playing Arizona at 10 o'clock. That's going to be a top 10 matchup. So a lot of interesting things going on in the college. Auburn is number one for the first time ever in their program history. Not even with Barkley did they do that. So we'll see how long that keeps going. And Josh, man, tell us right quick before we go about your trip to Milwaukee, watching your cousin play ball, man.
Oh man, Marquette's on a roll. I think they just beat Xavier at the game that was at Sunday. So I believe that's the 7th ranked teams that they beat this season. You know, and they're moving up in the conference ranks. They're 3rd right now in conference. A lot of those ranked opponents did come from the Big East, so that's big for them. You got to give credit to Shaka Smart, man, for turning that program around. First-year program. I believe it's 9 complete guys on the roster, with a lot of them being younger freshmen and transfers. And people, you know, kids from the transfer portal, for them to put this chemistry together with this team, it's real, and they're doing their thing over there at Marquette. I know I got to give a personal shout out to Cousin Cam. He did his thing against Xavier. He came with some big points. That game.
He really starting to produce now.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. With seeing that 6-man role over there, so he's definitely gonna get his pub soon, but you know, him contributing to what they have over there, which is a very defensive-minded, the old school Shaka Smart VCU type of play, where you had the pressure, full court pressure, and they're known for their defense, but they have better offensive going around this in this circumstance, considering during Big East Conference play. Yeah, Marquette's the real deal, so you got to be on the lookout for them, and just between them and obviously me covering DePaul, it's, you know, it's all, you know, DePaul is slowly but surely trying to find itself. They're in a way better position this year than they ever been under Leto. especially last year.
That's true, man. I was gonna say they had a slide, but it ain't been the Lato slide. Like that's like a damn roller coaster with that they've had with him.
Yeah, so
they be like 12-0 in December, and then be 12-14 at the end of the year. Like what the hell going on? They seem to be playing better under this new coach.
Yeah, the players they like playing for Stubbs. Stubbs is a great guy to talk to, knows his stuff. It's just that first year, trying to program around, and you have a lot of players that transferred out of it. I think DePaul was same position as Marquette. They had like 9 new players this year, with a couple transfer portals, as well as rookie players. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of it's going to take time. That's just really what it boils down to. It's going to take time for them to build a culture like that, especially playing in the Big East, where the Big East is pretty solidified in a lot of rankings, and especially that you see even in the top 25 rankings this year. So, DePaul's they're slowly but surely figuring things out. But like you said, Kyle, they're in a way better position now. Even though they only won one conference game, way better position, way ahead of schedule per se than they were if you had Dave Little there. But as much as DePaul, they're trying to rebuild the men's program and get back to Chicago basketball, being the team of Chicago. It's women's basketball over here, man. They love Coach Bruno was doing his thing. Top 2 I think the top 2 or 3 in the East. In the Big East Conference. Bruno just got selected as a finalist for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's good.
So, and they're winning games. They had 8 games this year. I think it's 8 games. Might have been 9, but I know for sure 8 games where they have scored at least 100 points in the season, which is school records. There's a profile piece that I just did on TV that's coming out within the next couple of weeks regarding the backcourt duo, where Coach Bruno says it's the best backcourt tandem. Sonia Morris and Lexi Held, the best backcourt tandem he's ever coached in his 36 years. It's a lot of stuff going on with women's basketball, and a lot of heat is taken up with them going into Big East play. So between women's basketball and what DePaul is doing on the men's side, so it's a lot of big time stuff.
That's what's up. We go delve.
That you to.
Yeah, we're gonna delve more into that in the coming weeks, and things gearing up again for WNBA. There's been some off-season rumblings about some moves, some personnel moves that may be occurring with the Sky and with some of the other contenders and stuff. We're gonna definitely talk about all of that. Well, I was gonna say with DePaul, I worry about them. And actually, I think the women's team is going to prevent this, but I worry about DePaul men having to hopscotch to another conference, because that's been happening quite a bit lately with the Chicago team. You got Loyola moving over to the Atlantic 10, and it's been announced recently that UIC is going to the Missouri Valley, which is home to SIU, me and Drew's alma mater. So it's interesting. I think that's actually a nice move for UIC for that program. It'd be interesting to see how they compete in that conference. But I think that's a move that for them to be able to have it available to them, there's definitely a move that they should have took. And it'll be interesting to see. I love that Chris is coming on. I'm about a minute away from wrapping up, and Chris it hops on with us. You have to say hi and bye, bro. What's up, Chris?
What's up, Chris?
Is he up? Okay, yes. I don't know if is he still on? Chris, what's up?
You on mute?
No, I don't think so. No. Can you hear us, Chris? We can't hear you, bro.
Drew, you got me?
Hey,
we hear you now.
Okay, I just took this microphone out. It was working before, but
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're able to join us, man. I don't think I can extend the show much longer, man. But you're on record as being in this episode, at least. So,
I mean, it's. I heard what you were saying about UIC, and that is cool. I think it'll be good for the program. It'll be a shot.
yeah, your Valley got too. Yeah, your Valley got too.
I was gonna say thanks for not mentioning Bradley. It's all good. You know, it's all right. It's not like we're doing that much to be worth mentioning this year anyway. But
hey, that's how you ain't doing much better. The Valley ain't been that great this year overall.
Man, it's bad.
Yeah, we need UIC. We need Belmont really too. They'll be coming. I think they're coming next year.
It'll be cool for UIC. I think since they've been in the Horizon League, and the Horizon League has been really like lower mid-major. When the Missouri Valley's right, when they have good recruiting, they'll get some guys who are exciting to watch. My man who transferred to Valpo from DePaul, I can't recall his name right now.
Freeman Liberty.
Yes, he was an exciting player to watch. He showed out that one tournament that Bradley ended up winning in the championship game. And when the MVC gets the good recruiting, when they get good coaches in there, I mean, you see it because those coaches usually end up going to a better school. But that's when the conferences are the strongest, and that should be good for UIC to really get some better quality players and hopefully advance their program.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we were speaking a little bit too about DePaul's women. Since we got you here, Chris, what have I was saying though, we're going in the next, upcoming.
Was that Gabe?
Yeah, go ahead, Gabe. A little bit of a delay.
I might be coming up the stream, man.
It's been a little bit. Well, it's been a little bit more iffy for Josh today. He's not even on this. Let me see if I can get him back on. I see 5 now. But anyway, we get Josh back on right quick. But Chris, I was gonna say before we go, if anything you've been hearing, I said in the coming weeks, we was gonna delve back into the WNBA stuff and some potential, roster moves that may be going on and stuff that you've been hearing on that thing that may be of note.
With WNBA, everybody's wondering where Liz Cambage is going to go. Las Vegas is in a state of flux, and I think that makes them more dangerous than they've been in the past because I never felt like Vegas had it. Even when they got Liz, even when they got Asia Wilson and she won the MVP award, I never felt like Vegas was at that level to win a championship. They were always going to be top tier. They were going to be contenders. But for some reason or another, I didn't believe it. Some of that is biased because they had Lane Beer as their coach. But I honestly never believed it that they had it, what they needed to take them over the top. And I think last year they finally felt the same way. They let Bill Laimbeer step aside, and they brought in a new coach for that team. They brought in Becky Hammond, and I mean that's going to be good in itself. The NBA experience does not mean anything in terms of her qualifications. She could have coached there before she went with the Spurs, I think, or if she had gone with another team. Becky Hammond's a basketball mind. But everybody's wondering where Liz Cambage is going to go and what Las Vegas is going to do with that. On the Chicago Sky beat, a lot of the questions are Vanderquig's going to stick around? Are they going to go to Seattle? Breanna Stewart's taking meetings in New York, so maybe there would be room for Courtney Vandersloot in terms of salary cap. Where's Diamond DeShield's going to go? Is Steph Dolson going to leave? There's a lot of things in flux. It's a really cool offseason. The one thing I do want to say is if y'all saw this, when the Storm announced that Stu Bird was coming back about 10 days ahead of the negotiation period starting, there were a lot of people saying that, why is everybody complaining? It's not a big deal. Tampering is a big deal. And that's a sign that your league is getting the respectability and notice that it should, that everybody is upset that a team did something wrong. So don't just be like, oh, she was going to come back anyway, because you can't say that. You can't break the rules. It's not cool. It is not cool that you're trying to ignore it. So I've been saying that on our show on the Skyhook. I've been saying that on other shows, and I'm going to keep saying it. The tampering thing was wrong. We're 10 days past January 15th, past the negotiation period start, but the tampering thing was not right. Anybody who says it's right is wrong. Other than that,
But
there's
the
a lot of
only
dope
thing I'll
stuff.
say is that it's a good thing when you get